The episode begins not in the present, but in the harrowing final moments of a memory. We are back in the cold, flickering, fluorescent light of a remote gas station, where the footpath killer has Jason Gideon held at gunpoint. The air is thick with the scent of oil and impending death. The killer, trembling with a violent, uncontrollable stutter, orders Gideon to disarm. When Gideon asks where to throw his weapon, the killer doesn't answer with words. He answers with a bullet. He shoots Gideon in the back of the leg, a tactical move to bring the veteran profiler to his knees. As Gideon is slammed against the wall, his credentials are snatched away. The killer is desperate to know who this man is. Gideon, bleeding and pinned, realizes he cannot win with force. He has to win with psychology. He begins to talk to the killer's stutter, claiming he understands the deep-seated trauma that drives the man to murder. We then snap back to the present day at Quantico. Gideon is sitting among a circle of students, the legend being picked apart by the next generation of the FBI. He is vulnerable, admitting he was terrified and that his discovery of the killer was mere luck. This admission of fallibility sets the tone for the episode. Elle Greenaway, the newest addition to the team, isn't satisfied with the luck explanation. She challenges Gideon on the stutter. Why did it happen? What did Gideon see? When Gideon remains cryptic, she takes her questions to Derek Morgan and Spencer Reed, only to find that even the team's genius doesn't have the answer. The mystery of the stutter is sidelined by a new crisis. We are introduced to Jennifer Giroux, or JJ, the team's unit liaison. Her role is vital. She is the gatekeeper of the horror, the one who decides which cases the BAU takes. She presents A Nightmare from Bradshaw College in Tempe, Arizona. A serial arsonist is terrorizing the campus. 6 fires in 7 months, but the escalation has turned deadly. The team watches a haunting video recovered from the most recent scene. A student named Matthew Rowland and his roommate were filming a fire across the quad, unaware that the real danger was right outside their door. The footage captures the precise moment smoke begins to hiss under the doorframe. Someone or something tries the handle. Seconds later, the room becomes an oven, and Matthew Rowland is consumed by flames on camera. The BAU flies to Arizona, and the profiling begins mid-flight. Arsonists are different from organized serial killers. They seek control over the most chaotic element in nature. To avoid feeding the Unsub's ego, the team arrives undercover, posing as fire inspectors rather than high-profile FBI agents. They meet Dean Ellen Turner and Inspector Jang, who reveals a disturbing detail. Chemicals have vanished from the campus lab, and the incendiary devices are becoming more sophisticated. The investigation hits a wall. Arson cases are notoriously difficult because the evidence literally burns away. Matthew Rowland appeared to be a random victim, well-liked, no enemies. Gideon, sensing the Unsub is watching them, establishes a hotline, hoping the killer's need for recognition will force them to reach out. The breakthrough happens through a series of small observations. While Gideon is walking with Professor Wallace, he notices a student struggling with a dry water fountain. It clicks. The arsonist isn't just starting fires. They are sabotaging the defenses, like cutting off the water supply. As they enter Professor Wallace's office, the professor notices a strange liquid pooled in his closet. Before Gideon can process the danger, Wallace reaches for the light switch. In a flash of terrifying clarity, Gideon realizes the light bulb is the trigger. He screams for Wallace to run and pulls the fire alarm, but the spark ignites the accelerant instantly. The office explodes into a fireball. Morgan has to physically drag a protesting Gideon away from the flames, as Professor Wallace is already beyond saving. The Unsub has struck right under the FBI's nose. The team is reeling. A researcher named Jeremy from the science labs approaches the dean, claiming he knows how the devices work. Meanwhile, the hotline receives a distorted, automated message. I do this for Karen. The BAU shifts into high gear. Penelope Garcia begins scrubbing the campus records for every woman named Karen, while Elle and Morgan begin a grueling round of interviews. But the Karen lead feels wrong to Gideon. He encounters a campus patrol officer on a bicycle, a man he's spoken to before. The officer mentions a messy breakup with a girlfriend who believes his lifestyle is a sin. This interaction provides the aha moment. The audio isn't saying Karen, it's saying Charon, a Hebrew word for God's burning anger. This isn't a crime of passion for a woman. It's a religious crusade. Spencer Reed then takes the profile to the next level. He notices a pattern in the chaos. The number 3. Matthew Rowland's class met on the 3rd day of the week at 3 p.m. Professor Wallace's office was number 3. The first fire occurred on March 3rd. The Unsub doesn't just have a religious motive. They have obsessive-compulsive disorder. They are trapped in a cycle of 3s. This leads them to their prime suspect, Clara Hayes, a chemistry student whose brilliant understanding of light bulb devices was actually a confession. The team realizes Clara's origin story. She survived a house fire as a child at the address 333. Since then, she has viewed the number 3 as a divine sign. If you survive her test of 3, you are saved by God. If not, you are judged. The climax unfolds in a campus elevator. Jeremy and 2 other researchers enter, only for Clara to cut the power once they reach the 3rd floor. She appears at the elevator doors not to help, but to perform her final ritual. She removes her sandals, stepping onto holy ground, and produces 3 bottles of accelerant. Hotchner and Gideon arrive as she begins to douse the trapped victims. Hotchner tries to reason with her, but Gideon knows you cannot negotiate with a compulsive delusion. As Clara prepares to drop the flame, Hotchner makes the split-second decision to shoot her in the leg while Gideon rushes in to secure the scene. The judgment is averted. On the flight back to Virginia, the adrenaline has faded, leaving only the lingering mystery of the footpath killer. Elle finally confronts Gideon. She's figured it out. Gideon didn't know the answer to the stutter because he caused it. The episode flashes back to that gas station one last time. We see Gideon realizing that the killer is reaching a breaking point. Instead of being empathetic, Gideon becomes an antagonist. He deliberately mocks the killer, challenging his intelligence and his work. This psychological pressure causes the killer's stutter to lock up entirely. In that moment of physical and mental paralysis, the killer tries to speak, but the words won't come. Gideon seizes the window of opportunity. He overpowers the man, takes the gun, and ends the threats. Gideon admits to Elle that profiling isn't always about empathy. Sometimes it's about knowing exactly which nerve to press to make a monster crumble. Einstein once said, Imagination is more important than knowledge. Knowledge is limited. Imagination encircles the world. Faulkner once said, "Don't bother just to be better than your contemporaries or predecessors. Try to be better than yourself."